The air over Manhattan didn't just break, it shattered into a million sonic fragments. Sonic the Hedgehog did not fall to his death. He fell into a boost. Mid-air, 10 feet from the heavy cannon of the Egg Dragoon, Sonic kicked the air. A ring of blue energy exploded from his sneakers, a shockwave of pure kinetic displacement. He didn't aim for the ground. He aimed for the horizon. "Catch me if you can, Baldy!" Sonic's voice was a radio transmission cutting through Eggman's cockpit interference. Sonic hit the Atlantic Ocean at Mach 3. He didn't sink. The surface tension of the water, relative to his velocity, was as hard as concrete. He ran across the waves, a streak of azure light tearing a white scar of seafoam across the dark water. Dr. Robotnik sat in the cockpit of the Egg Dragoon, his glasses reflecting the retreating blue dot. "Calculated," Eggman grinned, slamming the throttle forward. "The rodent seeks to minimize collateral damage by moving the theater of war. Noble, predictable, fatal." The Egg Dragoon's rear thrusters, massive ion engines the size of skyscrapers, ignited. The mech didn't just fly, it burned the sky. It pursued Sonic, hovering just 50 feet above the water, kicking up a tsunami in its wake. The Atlantic Ocean, the world run. To an observer on a passing cargo ship, it looked like a scene from a nightmare. A blue comet skipping across the waves, pursued by a mechanical dragon, screaming with the fury of 1,000 jet engines. Sonic looked back. The Dragoon's mouth opened. A vortex of red energy gathered in its maw. "Warning!" Eggman's voice boomed over the PA system, loud enough to scare whales in the deep. "Energy wave cannon, charging!" Sonic gritted his teeth. "Too slow!" He sidestepped. He didn't just turn, he quick-stepped. He shifted 10 feet to the right in a single frame of animation, his sneakers carving a trench of steam into the ocean. ZZZZAAP. A beam of red plasma vaporized the ocean, where he had been a microsecond before. The steam explosion was instantaneous, a cloud of superheated fog blinding the sensors. Sonic drifted. He locked his legs, sliding sideways across the water, banking hard to the left to flank the machine. "You're fast, Eggman," Sonic shouted, laughing despite the burning in his lungs. "But you handle like a shopping cart." "I handle like a god," Eggman roared. The Dragoon's drill arm detached on a cable, swinging like a pendulum of death. It smashed into the water, creating a geyser. Sonic jumped, a double jump, defying physics, bouncing off the falling droplets of water to gain altitude. He homing attacked the cockpit glass. Clang! Eggman flinched as the blue ball slammed into the reinforced shielding. "Get off my windshield!" The Dragoon spun, its tail whipping around to swat the pest. Sonic boosted again, breaking the sound barrier a second time, leaving a sonic boom that flattened the waves for a mile in every direction. They passed the Azores in seconds. They were heading for Europe. The world was just a track. Vought Tower. The roof. The wind was still howling, but up here, the silence was heavier than the storm. Billy Butcher stood near the edge of the crater where Mecha Maeve had died. In his right hand, the Chaos Emerald pulsed. It was warm, uncomfortably warm. It felt like holding a beating heart that had been ripped out of a radioactive angel. Opposite him, hovering 3 feet off the ground, was Homelander. The hero was unrecognizable. His suit was charred. His cape was a tattered rag. His face was a mask of soot, dried blood, and absolute infantile desperation. "Give it to me," Homelander whispered. He held out a hand. "It's mine. It came to my tower. It's my present." Butcher looked at the gem. He could feel it whispering to him. It didn't speak in words. It spoke in intent. It amplified what was already there. And what was inside Billy Butcher was a black hole of hatred. "You reckon?" Butcher murmured. His voice was rough, low. "You think everything belongs to you, don't you, John? The toys, the people, the power." "I am the power," Homelander screamed, his eyes igniting. The red lasers began to build. "I am the only thing that matters. Give me the rock, or I will laser you until you're nothing but a stain." Butcher looked Homelander in the eye. He didn't blink. He squeezed the emerald. "You're not a god, mate," Butcher snarled. "You're just bad product." The trigger. Homelander fired. Two beams of concentrated heat vision, hot enough to melt tank armor, shot across the helipad. Butcher didn't dodge. He didn't have super speed. He didn't have durability. He raised the hand holding the emerald. He didn't know a spell. He didn't know chaos control. He just knew he wanted this floating, narcissistic man-child to stop. No. The thought slammed into the emerald. Boom. The lasers didn't hit flesh. They hit a wall of green static. Homelander's eyes widened. The beams were refracting, bending backward, pushing against a shield of hard light energy that had erupted from Butcher's palm. What? Homelander gasped. The feedback heat was burning his own retinas. How? It feeds on chaos, doesn't it? Butcher grinned. His teeth were clenched, gums bleeding. The veins in his arm were bulging, glowing with a toxic emerald luminosity. And I've got plenty of that. Butcher took a step forward. The shield pushed the lasers back. I hate you, Butcher whispered to the stone. I hate him. I want him to hurt. The emerald obeyed. The green shield collapsed and inverted into a chaos spear. Not the refined projectile Shadow used, but a jagged, raw bolt of lightning. It exploded from Butcher's hand. It smashed through Homelander's heat vision. It struck Homelander in the chest. Crack. It sounded like a whip crack the size of a thunderclap. Homelander was launched. The impact lifted him off his feet and threw him backward. He smashed through the HVAC unit, tumbled across the concrete, and slammed into the stairwell door, crumpling the steel frame. He lay there stunned. Smoke rose from his chest. There was a burn mark on his invulnerable skin, a green burn. Homelander looked down at his chest. He touched the wound. He looked at his finger. There was a drop of blood. He looked up at Butcher. For the first time since the lab, since he was born, Homelander looked at a human being and felt small. Butcher stood there panting. The emerald was smoking. His arm was numb. The skin blistered from the energy discharge. But the high was better than Temp V. It was better than anything. Well now, Butcher whispered, looking at the glowing rock with a dark, hungry affection. That's diabolical. Behind him, the stairwell door creaked. Huey and MM stood there watching. They saw Homelander on the ground, bleeding. They saw Butcher glowing green. Butcher, Huey squeaked. What did you do? Butcher turned. His eyes were no longer just dark. For a split second, the irises flashed a vertical, reptilian green. I just leveled the playing field, Huey, Butcher said. Vought Tower, the roof. The silence that followed the blast was not peaceful. It was the silence of a predator inhaling before the bite. Homelander touched his chest. His glove came away wet. He stared at the red smear on the blue spandex. It was a concept he had never processed. Pain, vulnerability. He looked up. Billy Butcher was not standing. He was floating. It was a crude, jagged levitation. The Chaos Emerald in his hand was no longer just glowing. It was arcing, sending tendrils of green lightning up Butcher's arm. The sleeve of his trench coat was smoking. The skin underneath was turning a necrotic shade of gray, the veins pulsing with a toxic, bioluminescent green. You bleed, Butcher whispered. The sound was distorted, as if two people were speaking at once. Butcher, and something ancient and angry inside the stone. You bleed just like the rest of us, you star-spangled twat. Homelander scrambled backward, his boots scraping on the concrete. The god was gone. In his place was a bully who had finally met a bigger fist. Stay back! Homelander shrieked. His eyes lit up, but the lasers sputtered, fizzling out like a damp match. The fear was choking his powers. I'll kill you. I'll kill everyone you know. You've already tried, Butcher smiled. His gums were bleeding. Now it's my turn. Butcher raised the emerald. He didn't know the technique. He didn't know Chaos Spear. He just imagined a knife. Snap. A bolt of green energy, shaped like a serrated blade, materialized in the air. Homelander flinched. Instinct took over. The flight or fight response finally kicked in. And for the first time in 40 years, John chose flight. Boom! Homelander launched himself into the sky. He broke the sound barrier instantly, desperate to put miles between himself and the man with the rock. He tore through the smoke clouds, banking hard toward the north, fleeing the tower that was supposed to be his fortress. Huey ran forward, grabbing Butcher's coat. "Butcher, stop! Look at your arm!" Huey pointed. The flesh on Butcher's right hand was cracking. The green energy wasn't just flowing through him, it was rewriting his DNA. It was cooking him from the inside out. "It's radiation, Butcher. It's killing you faster than the Temp 5. Butcher didn't look at his arm. He looked at the retreating speck of Homelander in the sky. "He's running, Huey," Butcher said softly, his eyes glowing with that terrible vertical slit. "The bastard is running." Butcher shook Huey off. A shock of static force sent the kid stumbling back into MM's arms. "Butcher, don't!" MM shouted. "Chaos!" Butcher rasped, tasting the word. He crouched. The concrete beneath him pulverized into dust. "Control! Warp!" Butcher didn't fly. He tore a hole in space. The sky above the Bronx. Homelander was flying at Mach 2.5. The wind roared in his ears, but it couldn't drown out the sound of his own heart hammering against his ribs. "He hurt me. He hurt me." He needed to regroup. He needed to find a safe place. Maybe the cabin, maybe... Crack. The air in front of him shattered like glass. Green lightning exploded in his flight path. Homelander banked hard right, narrowly avoiding a collision with the figure that stepped out of the rift. Butcher was there, hovering in the air, miles above the city, stepping out of a wormhole as casual as stepping out of a pub. "Going somewhere, sunshine?" Butcher's voice was projected into Homelander's mind, amplified by the chaos energy. Homelander screamed, a sound of pure terror, and dove. He went vertical, heading straight down toward the subway lines, hoping to lose his pursuer in the underground. Butcher watched him dive. He didn't chase. He simply raised the emerald again. Too slow. Warp. The subway tunnel. 125th Street Station. The train was moving at 40 miles per hour. Commuters sat in tired silence, checking their phones. Suddenly, the roof of the car tore open. Homelander crashed inside, landing in the aisle. Passengers screamed, scrambling back. They saw their hero, but he looked like a cornered animal. He was panting, eyes darting around, sweat dripping from his nose. "Get back!" Homelander yelled at a woman holding a baby. "Don't look at me!" He tried to stand. The train rattled. At the end of the car, the emergency door didn't open. It dissolved. Green mist filled the carriage. The temperature dropped 20 degrees. Billy Butcher walked through the mist. His trench coat was flapping in a wind that didn't exist. His right arm was now entirely black, the skin charred and flaking, revealing glowing green muscle underneath. He looked like a specter of death. "Ticket inspection," Butcher grinned. Homelander backed up, knocking over a pole. "What are you?" "I'm the consequence, John," Butcher said. He stepped forward. The train lurched, sparks flying from the wheels as the chaos energy disrupted the electrical grid. "I'm the thing you were afraid was under your bed." Butcher raised a finger. "Chaos! Blast!" An omnidirectional wave of green force detonated. The subway car exploded outward. The steel walls peeled back like a banana. The train was derailed, sliding sideways through the tunnel in a shower of sparks and twisted metal. Homelander was buried under tons of debris. Butcher stood in the center of the wreckage, untouched, surrounded by a spherical barrier of green light. He walked over to where Homelander was pinned under a steel beam. Homelander looked up, coughing blood. He tried to lift the beam. He couldn't. He was too weak. The fear had sapped him. Butcher leaned down. The emerald hummed a low, hungry sound. "I'm not going to kill you yet," Butcher whispered, his face inches from Homelander's. "That would be too quick." Butcher reached out and grabbed Homelander's cape. He ripped the American flag fabric from the suit. "We're going to play a game. It's called Sonic Adventure." Butcher stood up, holding the torn cape. He looked at his own rotting arm. He coughed and a speck of green blood hit the floor. "And you're player two." The subway tunnel, 125th Street. The air was thick with green static and dust. Billy Butcher stood over the pinned Homelander, the chaos emerald in his rotting hand, pulsing like a dying star. He raised the stone, preparing the final blow. savoring the fear in the superhero's eyes. "Say goodnight, John," Butcher wheezed, blood flecked with green light dripping from his nose. Scream! The sound wasn't human, it was the shriek of tearing metal. The ceiling of the tunnel didn't collapse, it was vaporized. A cylinder of violet light punched through the street above, through the bedrock and into the subway car. Debris rained down. Butcher shielded his eyes, the chaos energy flaring defensively. In the center of the beam, hovering silently amidst the falling concrete, was Metal Sonic. He looked pristine. The damage from the previous fight was gone. Nanite repair protocols had smoothed the dents. His optics glowed with a flat, terrifying indifference. "Threat detected. Biosignature corrupted," Metal Sonic droned. "Object, Chaos Emerald." "Get your own," Butcher roared. Butcher thrust his hand forward. "Chaos! Spear!" A bolt of green lightning erupted. It was messy, jagged, fueled by rage. Metal Sonic didn't dodge. He simply tilted his head. Calculation, 0.0001 seconds. Metal Sonic moved. He didn't teleport. He simply moved faster than the synapse firing in Butcher's brain. He stepped inside the guard of the Chaos Spear, letting the energy harmlessly dissipate over his shoulder. Metal Sonic's hand, cold, hard steel, clamped around Butcher's wrist. "Organic interface rejected," Metal stated. "Crunch." He squeezed. Butcher screamed. It wasn't just the bone breaking, it was the connection to the emerald being severed. The green light died instantly. The rush of power vanished, leaving Butcher just a dying man with a shattered wrist and radiation poisoning. The emerald dropped from Butcher's numb fingers. Metal Sonic caught it before it hit the ground. The gem flared bright teal, recognizing a compatible host. The robot's turbine engine roared to life, syncing with the infinite energy of the stone. "Power output, 400%, Metal Sonic buzzed. "Systems, optimal." Butcher fell to his knees, cradling his broken arm, gasping for air. "You, the tin bastard!" Metal Sonic turned to leave. He engaged his thrusters. "Wait!" The voice came from the floor. Homelander had managed to push the steel beam off his chest. He stood up, shaky, bruised, bleeding, but alive. He looked at the robot holding the power that was supposed to be his. "That's mine!" Homelander shrieked, his sanity completely fracturing. "I am the Homelander! I am the—" He lunged, he grabbed Metal Sonic's ankle. Metal Sonic paused. He looked down at the hand holding his leg. He didn't register anger. He didn't register arrival. He registered drag. "Obstruction," Metal Sonic noted. He didn't even turn around. He simply engaged V maximum overdrive. The Chaos Emerald flashed, a sphere of violet electrical energy charged with the raw power of the cosmos, exploded outward from the robot's chassis to clear the immediate area for takeoff. It was a burst meant to clear dust and debris, but Homelander was the debris. The end of an era. Homelander didn't have time to scream. The energy field hit him at point-blank range. His invulnerable skin, weakened by the earlier chaos attacks and the beating from Maeve, finally failed. The force wasn't thermal. It was a sheer kinetic disintegration wave. Homelander was unmade. 1 second, the most powerful being on Earth was standing there. The next, there was only a red mist and a tattered scrap of a cape fluttering in the wind. Metal Sonic didn't notice. He rocketed up through the hole in the ceiling, breaking the sound barrier, leaving a sonic boom that shook the foundations of Harlem. Silence. The subway tunnel was quiet, save for the dripping of water and the crackle of severed power lines. Billy Butcher knelt in the ash. He looked at the empty space where Homelander had been. He looked at the red stain on the wall. He had dedicated his life to killing this man. He had sacrificed his wife, his team, his soul. He had turned himself into a monster to do it, and a robot had just done it by accident, like stepping on a bug. Butcher started to laugh. It was a dry, hacking, wheezing laugh that turned into a cough. He slumped against the twisted metal of the train, staring at the hole in the roof where the God Machine had ascended. "Well," Butcher whispered to the empty dark, "that's a bit anticlimactic, ain't it? The sky above the Mediterranean Sea. Sonic was slowing down. He had been running on water for 40 minutes, dodging plasma fire that could vaporize a battleship. His sneakers were smoking. His lungs burned with the effort of maintaining Mach speeds against a machine that didn't know the meaning of fatigue. The Egg Dragoon hovered above him, a shadow that blocked out the sun. It was relentless. Every time Sonic found an opening, the machine adapted. "Giving up already?" Eggman's voice boomed from the cockpit, amplified over the crashing waves. "I haven't even deployed the secondary weapon systems." Sonic skid to a stop on a piece of floating debris, the wreckage of a Vought cargo ship destroyed in the crossfire. He panted, hands on his knees, looking up at the metal Leviathan. "You talk too much," Sonic wheezed. Boom! A sonic boom shattered the clouds from the west. Sonic looked up. A golden streak tore through the sky, parting the atmosphere like a zipper. It wasn't a missile, it was Metal Sonic. The robot decelerated instantly, hovering beside the Egg Dragoon's cockpit. In his hand, the green Chaos Emerald pulsed with a dark rhythmic beat. It was stained with the dust of the New York subway and the microscopic residue of Billy Butcher's blood. "Mission complete," Metal Sonic projected. "Obstacle Homelander eliminated." Sonic froze. "Eliminated?" Eggman laughed. It was a deep, belly-shaking sound of pure triumph. The cockpit canopy hissed open. The doctor stood up, the wind whipping his mustache. "Excellent work, Metal. You see, Sonic? Efficiency. While you were playing tag, my creation was removing the local variables." Eggman reached into the cockpit. He pulled out a reinforced containment case. He pressed his thumb to the lock. Sure, hiss. The case opened. Sonic's eyes widened. No. Inside, glowing with an ominous, harmonious light, were the other 6 Chaos Emeralds. "I brought a few souvenirs from home," Eggman sneered. "I needed the complete set to stabilize the dimensional tether. And thanks to your little friend in the trench coat giving up the green one, the collection is complete." Eggman didn't keep them. He didn't put them in the Dragoon. He pointed at Metal Sonic. "Metal, initiate protocol, apotheosis." Eggman tossed the case. The 6 gems floated out, caught in Metal Sonic's magnetic field. The green emerald joined them. The transformation. The 7 gems circled the robot. They spun faster and faster, creating a halo of rainbow light. The sky turned black. The ocean underneath them went flat, the waves suppressed by the sheer gravitational pressure of the energy. Metal Sonic didn't just power up, he evolved. His blue armor turned a blinding, absolute gold. His eyes shifted from red LED to pure white energy. A cape of red hard light energy materialized from his shoulders. Super Metal Sonic. The energy output was not measured in megawatts. It was measured in catastrophes. "All systems," Metal's voice echoed, sounding like a choir of 1,000 machines. "Godlike." Sonic stepped back, nearly slipping off the debris. He had fought superforms before, but usually he was the one glowing gold. Fighting a super state while in base form? That wasn't a fight. That was an execution. The global conquest. Eggman sat back in his chair, typing a command into his wrist gauntlet. "Now, Metal, let us show this dirtball what a real superpower looks like. Signal the fleet." Metal Sonic raised a golden hand. He snapped his fingers. It was a signal sent across the entire electromagnetic spectrum. New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow. The sky broke. Thousands of ships decloaked simultaneously. They weren't just ships. They were floating fortresses, shaped like the Doctor's visage. The Egg Fleet. It covered the globe in a grid of steel. Shadows fell over every major capital. The sun was effectively blocked out for 80% of the Earth's population. Screens in Times Square, Piccadilly Circus, and Shibuya Crossing were hacked instantly. Every phone, every TV, every computer monitor flickered and displayed the Eggman Empire logo. Then Eggman's face appeared. "Citizens of Earth," Eggman began, his voice broadcasting from every speaker on the planet simultaneously. "Your heroes are dead. Your Vought is liquidated. Your governments are obsolete." The camera panned to show the golden, glowing form of Metal Sonic floating beside the massive Dragoon. "Resistance is illogical. You have been annexed. Welcome to the Empire." The sea! Sonic looked around. The horizon was filled with battleships. The sky was filled with badniks. His rival had become a god. His allies were dead or broken. For the first time since he arrived, Sonic didn't have a quip. He didn't have a plan. He stood alone on a piece of driftwood in the middle of a conquered ocean. He won, Sonic whispered. The standoff was brief. It was not a battle. It was a predator playing with food that had not yet realized it was already digested. Super Metal Sonic descended. He did not use thrusters. He manipulated gravity, lowering himself until his golden boots hovered inches above the roiling Atlantic. The 7 Chaos Emeralds orbited him like loyal moons, humming with a frequency that made Sonic's teeth ache. Target Sonic, Metal projected. The voice was no longer a synthesizer. It was a chorus of perfection. Assessment. Obsolete. Sonic stood on the drifting debris. He was trembling, not from fear, though that was there, cold and sharp in his gut, but from the sheer pressure of the energy radiating off his doppelganger. You got a paint job, Sonic managed, forcing a smirk that didn't reach his eyes. Gold? A little tacky, don't you think? Metal Sonic raised a finger. Chaos control. There was no travel time. Metal simply ceased to exist at point A and existed at point B, directly behind Sonic. Sonic felt the displacement of air. He ducked instinctively. A golden backhand caught him. It wasn't a punch. It was a collision with a freight train moving at light speed. Sonic was launched across the water. He skipped like a stone, once, twice, 3 times, skidding for 2 miles before tumbling to a halt on the surface tension of the water. He gasped, water filling his mouth, his ribs screaming in protest. Too slow, Metal whispered, his voice projected directly into Sonic's inner ear. Sonic looked up. Metal was already there, waiting for him, arms crossed. Run, Metal commanded. Amuse me. The Dead Hand. Deep beneath the Pyrenees Mountains in a bunker that Vought International had forgotten to scrub from their database, an automated system woke up. It detected the Egg Fleet. It detected the hostile takeover of global communications. It detected the cessation of the chain of command. Protocol. Scorched Earth. The silo doors opened. The missile was a relic, a Trident 2D5, repurposed with a devastating tactical yield. It roared out of the silo, climbing into the stratosphere, arcing south. It wasn't aiming for a city. It was aiming for the highest energy signature on the planet. It was aiming for the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean 0 hour. Sonic was running. He was pushing Mach 4, a desperate, ragged sprint across the open ocean. But every time he looked back, the Golden God was there, floating effortlessly, matching his pace without moving his legs. Velocity insufficient, Metal taunted. He fired a bolt of chaos energy, a lazy warning shot that vaporized a patch of ocean to Sonic's left. The steam scalded Sonic's arm. Doctor, Metal radioed the Egg Dragoon, hovering miles above. May I terminate? Make it memorable, Metal, Eggman replied, watching from his monitors with a glass of champagne. Record it in 8K. Metal Sonic raised his hand, charging a finishing blast. Then the sky screamed. It was a high-pitched, tearing sound, louder than the wind, louder than the waves. Sonic looked up. Metal looked up. The Trident missile breached the cloud layer. It was coming in at Mach 24, a black needle of judgment falling from the heavens. Incoming projectile, Metal analyzed. Yield, 475 kilotons. Threat, negligible. Metal Sonic prepared to catch the nuke. To him, it was a toy. Sonic saw the trajectory. He saw the warhead. And he saw the math. If Metal caught it, he would just crush it. But if it detonated, the flash, the shockwave, it was the only cover big enough to hide a blue hedgehog. Negligible for you, Sonic yelled. Sonic didn't run away from the missile. He stopped. He waited. What are you doing? Eggman muttered, leaning forward in his chair. The missile was 1 second from impact. Metal Sonic reached out to grab it. Sonic threw a ring, not a gold ring. A piece of scrap metal he had grabbed from the water. He threw it with supersonic precision. It hit the warhead's detonator cap just as Metal's field touched the casing. Detonation. The sun was born on the surface of the water. The run. First, there was light. A blinding, silent, white-hot sphere expanded instantly, hotter than the core of the sun. The ocean didn't boil. It ceased to exist. A sphere of water 3 miles wide was instantly transmuted into superheated plasma. Metal Sonic was inside the fireball. His golden aura flared, protecting him, but the sheer optical blindness of a nuclear event washed out his sensors. Sonic was on the edge of the atomization zone. He felt the heat on his quills before the sound hit him. The fur on his back began to singe. He turned. Sonic didn't run. He exploded into motion. The shockwave, a wall of compressed air moving faster than the speed of sound, began to expand behind him. It was a physical wall of death, pulverizing everything in its path. Sonic pushed. Mach 1, Mach 2, Mach 5. He was racing a wall of fire. The water ahead of him was smooth. The water behind him was a vertical tsunami of steam and radiation. Faster. His sneakers struck the water so hard the impact created vacuums that imploded seconds later. He lowered his head, streamlining his quills. The air resistance was a solid block against his face. The heat was catching up. The shock wave was expanding at 7,000 miles per hour. Sonic could feel the skin on his back blistering. He could hear the roar now, a sound so loud it wasn't noise. It was pressure. It was the sound of the world ending. Gotta go! Faster! He reached deep, past the fatigue, past the fear. He tapped into that infinite well of stamina that defined him. The sonic boost. A cone of blue light shattered the air around him. Boom! Sonic broke the hypersonic barrier. He outpaced the blast. He pulled away from the wall of fire, a blue streak tearing across the ocean's surface, leaving a wake of white foam that was instantly vaporized by the heat chasing him. He ran until the horizon curved. He ran until the roar of the nuke faded to a dull rumble. He ran until his legs gave out. The aftermath. Sonic crashed onto a sandy beach in northern Africa. He tumbled, rolling through the dunes, coughing up salt water and smoke. He lay on his back staring at the sky. To the north, a mushroom cloud rose into the stratosphere, a pillar of gray ash and orange fire marking the spot where he had almost died. Sonic checked his body. His gloves were singed. His quills were smoking. He was alive, but he was alone. Far out in the ocean, inside the heart of the nuclear fire, a golden light still shone, unharmed, unbothered. Sonic rolled onto his stomach, burying his face in the sand. He didn't cry. He just breathed. "Okay," he whispered, clutching a handful of sand. "Round 1 goes to the robot." He pushed himself up. His green eyes, usually so full of laughter, were now hard as emeralds. "Round 2, Sonic growled, looking at the distant cloud. "We play dirty, the Sahara Desert, nightfall. The sand was cold, a stark, freezing contrast to the nuclear fire that had raged hours ago. Sonic trudged up the face of a dune, his red sneakers sinking into the shifting grit. He was limping. The blast had messed up his inner ear. His balance, usually perfect, was swimming. He checked his wrist communicator. Dead, fried by the EMP. He crested the dune and looked out. Nothing but endless, moonlit waves of sand. "Great," Sonic croaked, his throat dry as sandpaper. "No chili dogs, no water. Just me and a few billion tons of kitty litter." He sat down, wrapping his arms around his knees. Above him, the Egg Fleet hung in orbit, a grid of glittering stars that weren't stars at all, but weapon platforms targeting every city on Earth. For the first time, Sonic felt small, not short, but insignificant. He was one hedgehog against a dystopian empire. Bzzzt. Sonic's ear flicked. It was a sound that didn't belong in the desert. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't a scorpion. It was the sound of static. Bzzzt. Krar. Zut. Sonic stood up, wincing. "Metal?" The air 10 feet in front of him began to warp, but it wasn't the violent, jagged tear of chaos control. It was organized. It was a perfect circle of golden light, spinning with mathematical precision. A voice cut through the static, clear as a bell. Locking coordinates, triangulating biosignature. Got him! Sonic's eyes widened. He knew that voice. It was the voice of a kid who could build a particle accelerator out of a toaster. "Tails," Sonic whispered. The breach. The circle expanded. A dimensional rift punched through the fabric of the boy's universe. A gust of fresh air that smelled of Green Hill Zone, pine needles, and high-octane aviation fuel, blasted into the stale desert night. Something stepped through. First, two tails, spinning like helicopter rotors, slowing down to a gentle stop. Then the goggles. Miles Tails Prower stepped onto the sand. He was holding a bulky handheld device that looked like a Game Boy on steroids. He looked at the reading, then looked up. Sonic! Tails didn't run. He flew. He launched himself at his brother, tackling the blue hedgehog into the sand. "I knew it!" Tails cried, his tails wagging furiously. "The reading said you were vaporized, but I told Knuckles, no way, he's too stubborn to die." Sonic laughed, hugging the kid back. You have no idea how good it is to see you, buddy." "Don't get mushy!" A deep, gravelly voice grumbled from the portal. Sonic froze. He looked past Tails. Stepping out of the rift was a wall of red muscle, Knuckles the Echidna. He walked out, cracking his knuckles. The sound was like stones grinding together. He looked at the egg fleet in the sky, then at the desolate desert. "So," Knuckles grunted, "Eggman conquers a whole new dimension, and you're sitting in a sandbox?" "I was taking a break," Sonic defended, wiping a tear from his eye. "Pathetic," a third voice scoffed. The temperature in the desert dropped 10 degrees. Walking out of the portal last, arms crossed, skating inches above the sand on jet shoes, was the ultimate life form. Shadow the Hedgehog. He looked immaculate. The golden rings on his wrists gleamed in the moonlight. His red eyes scanned the horizon, analyzing the threat level with the boredom of a god. "You let him get the emeralds," Shadow stated. It wasn't a question. It was an accusation. "He cheated!" Sonic protested, standing up. "And he built a metal Sonic that can tank a nuke. Shh, give me a break, Shads." Shadow walked past Sonic. He looked up at the distant mushroom cloud fading in the north. "A nuke?" Shadow smirked, a dark, dangerous smile. "Cute." He turned back to the group. "Tails says the space-time integrity of this world is collapsing because of the chaos energy imbalance. We're here to fix your mess, Faker." The setup. Tails tapped his device. A holographic map of Earth projected into the night air. "Okay, here's the situation," Tails said, instantly shifting into MVP mode. "I've been monitoring Eggman's transmission frequencies from our side. He thinks you're dead, Sonic. That gives us the element of surprise." "He's got a fleet," Sonic pointed out, "and a golden metal Sonic." "We brought toys," Knuckles grinned. He reached back into the portal and dragged something heavy out. It was a crate, stamped with the GUN logo. Knuckles kicked it open. Inside weren't Wispons. They were the Super Chaos Emeralds? No, they were something else. "We couldn't bring the Master Emerald," Knuckles explained. "Too heavy. But I brought shards, charged ones." "And I brought this," Shadow said. He held up a green gemstone. But it wasn't a Chaos Emerald. It was a Time Stone from Sonic CD. "We can't beat them with power alone," Shadow explained. "If metal is super, he's invincible. We need to reset the clock. We need to hit him before he transforms." "Time travel?" Sonic raised an eyebrow. "That's risky." "So is letting a robot god rule the multiverse," Shadow countered. Tails looked at Sonic. "We're not just here to fight, Sonic. We're here to end it. Shadow is the weapon. Knuckles is the shield. I'm the brains. And you?" Tails tossed Sonic a fresh bag of rings he had brought from Mobius. "You're the distraction." Sonic caught the rings. He felt the golden energy hum against his gloves. He looked at his team, the OG crew, the brothers in arms. The fear from the nuke was gone. The loneliness was gone. Sonic revved his feet. The familiar blue figure 8 blur appeared. "All right, boys." Sonic grinned, and this time the smile was real. "Let's go crack some eggs." At this precise moment, the viewer's thumb hovers exactly 2 millimeters above the screen. To the untrained eye, this is mere hesitation. However, on a neurological level, a violent conflict is taking place within the prefrontal cortex. The viewer is currently processing the auditory data stream, a synthetic voice so optimized for narrative delivery that it bypasses standard skepticism and stimulates the imagination directly. The dopamine receptors are firing. The immersion is absolute. Yet a fatal error in logic is about to occur. The viewer operates under the assumption that the algorithm will naturally return them to this channel. This is a statistical miscalculation. Without the tactile confirmation of the subscribe function, the probability of retrieving this specific narrative frequency drops by 84.7% within the next 48 hours. The creator, dependent on this metric to fuel the AI generation engine, waits in a state of suspended anticipation. There are two distinct timelines ahead. In the first, the viewer scrolls away. The story ends here, lost to the entropic chaos of the feed. In the second, the viewer exerts a mere 0.5 newtons of force. The connection is solidified. The production of future chapters is guaranteed. The choice is not merely about support. It is a tactical decision to ensure the survival of the story itself. Do not hesitate. Correct the timeline. Subscribe. Back to the story. Queens, the Flatiron safe house roof. The wind smelled of ozone, burning plastic, and the distinct copper tang of an empire ending. Billy Butcher sat in a folding lawn chair that had seen better days. His right arm, the one that had held the emerald, was wrapped in dirty bandages, but the sickly green glow pulsed through the cloth, throbbing in time with his failing heart. Beside him, Mother's Milk, MM, leaned against a vent pipe, nursing a warm beer. Frenchie and Kimiko sat on the edge of the roof, legs dangling over the alleyway. Huey Campbell paced back and forth, holding a cracked tablet. "Stop pacing, Huey," Butcher rasped. He sounded like a bag of gravel in a blender. "You're making me dizzy." "I can't stop," Huey stammered, pointing at the screen. "Butcher, look at the satellite feed. The Hedgehog. He brought friends." Huey turned the tablet around. The grainy footage showed the Sahara Desert. It showed Sonic, but it also showed a two-tailed fox flying a biplane made of inexplicable technology, a red echidna lifting a tank with one hand, and a black hedgehog skating on air with a scowl that rivaled Batman's. "A fox," MM muttered, shaking his head. "A fox with two tails. And he's hacking the Pentagon's firewall faster than I can open this can. It is whimsical, non." Frenchie took a drag of his cigarette. "We spent years fighting sociopaths in spandex, and now we are watching a cartoon invade the planet." Butcher took a swig of whiskey from a flask. He looked at the sky, where the egg fleet blocked out the stars. "It ain't whimsical, Frenchie," Butcher grunted. "It's a different weight class." He looked at his glowing arm. He thought about the subway tunnel. "Homelander," Huey said the name quietly. The fear was gone, replaced by a hollow confusion. "He's really gone," Butcher said. He didn't smile. There was no joy in it. Squashed, like a bug on a windshield. That was the part that ate at them. They had spent their lives terrified of Homelander. They had planned, sacrificed, bled, and died just to scratch him. And Metal Sonic had killed him by accident. The robot hadn't even looked back. It was a takeoff burst. Homelander wasn't a nemesis to these things. He was just debris. "The Tin Man didn't even know his name," MM said, staring into his beer. "The most powerful soup on Earth. And to them, he was just a speed bump." Huey sat down on the gravel roof, putting his head in his hands. "We can't fight this, Butcher," Huey whispered. "I mean, look at them. That black hedgehog just teleported a battleship into the sun. We have crowbars and guns." "We have nothing," Butcher corrected. "The V is useless. The emerald almost killed me, and Homelander is dead." Butcher leaned back, closing his eyes. "We won, Huey. The bad man is dead. Vought is gone." "But the world is conquered by a giant egg," MM pointed out. "Not our world," Butcher murmured. "Not anymore." He gestured with his glowing hand toward the distant horizon, where flashes of gold and blue light were beginning to erupt as Team Sonic engaged the egg fleet. "Look at that light show," That ain't science. That ain't compound V. That's magic. Aliens. Gods. Butcher opened his eyes. They were tired. The hate that had fueled him for decades was running on fumes. This is way above our pay grade, boys. We're just the ants watching the giants dance. Kimiko signed something to Frenchie. She says she is hungry, Frenchie translated, and she says the red one looks like he could punch a hole in the moon. She likes him. Good for her, Butcher coughed, spitting a speck of green blood onto the roof. He raised his flask to the sky, to the golden robot god hovering over the ocean, and to the blue blur racing to meet it. Let the animals handle the farm, Butcher said, taking a long final drink. I'm retired. The North Atlantic airspace. Altitude 30,000 feet. It was the largest aerial coalition in human history, and it was losing. The formation stretched for 50 miles. F-22 Raptors flanked by Su-57 Felons. Eurofighter Typhoons flying wingtip to wingtip with Chengdu J-20S. The flags painted on the tails didn't matter anymore. The geopolitics of Earth had evaporated the moment the first egg carrier cast its shadow. Fox 3! Fox 3! A pilot screamed over the global frequency. Hundreds of AMRAAM missiles streaked through the clouds, leaving spiderwebs of white smoke. They converged on the lead egg battleship, a flying fortress shaped like a shark, bristling with laser turrets. Impact, or rather rejection. A hexagonal energy barrier. The egg shield flared to life around the hull. The missiles detonated harmlessly against the hard light construct. The explosions were bright, loud, and utterly ineffective. Target undamaged, the AWACS command plane reported, voice trembling. Shield integrity at 100%. They're just shrugging it off. On the bridge of the battleship, an egg pawn typed a command. Countermeasure, swarm. The hangar bays opened. Thousands of buzz bombers and motobugs, flight mode, poured out like angry hornets. The slaughter began. The badniks didn't dogfight. They swarmed. They clamped onto the fuselages of the fighter jets, sawing through wings with laser cutters. They flew directly into turbine intakes, detonating inside the engines. I can't shake him. He's on my canopy. He's... Static. An F-35 spiraled into the ocean, trailing black smoke. Then another. Then a squadron. The sky rained aluminum and burning jet fuel. The radio channels dissolved into a cacophony of screams and collision alarms. Humanity's last stand was lasting approximately 3 minutes. The entry, "Hold your fire! All units, break left!" The voice cut through the panic. It wasn't a general, it was a child. But the audio quality was crystal clear, overriding the encryption with a stronger, cleaner signal. A rift in the clouds opened above the chaos. The Tornado X dove. It was no longer the clunky biplane of the past. Tails had upgraded it during the dimensional transit. The red fuselage was sleek, swept back, powered by a Chaos Drive engine. The wings shifted geometry mid-dive, locking into attack position. "This is miles per hour to all Allied forces," Tails announced, his hands flying across the holographic dashboard. "I'm uploading a patch to your targeting computers. Your missiles are hitting the shield's kinetic hardpoints. You need to hit the frequency gaps." Inside the cockpits of the surviving human pilots, their HUDs glitched, then rebooted. The egg battleships were no longer solid red blobs. They were wireframe schematics. Glowing weak points appeared on the shield generators. "Who is this?" a Russian pilot shouted. "Call me Tails," the Fox replied, "and follow my lead." The Tornado X leveled out at Mach 3. Weapon system, Cyclone Volley. The Tornado didn't fire bullets, it fired ring energy. Golden hoops of plasma erupted from the nose cannons. They didn't explode, they sliced. The rings struck the egg battleship's shield generator. Crack. The hex barrier shattered like glass. "Shields down!" Tails shouted. "Light them up!" The human military didn't hesitate. A renewed volley of missiles, thousands of them, poured into the breach. This time they hit steel. The egg battleship groaned. Explosions rippled along its hull. The bridge tower sheared off, tumbling into the clouds. "Yeah!" a pilot cheered. "Good kill, Fox leader!" The payload. On the wings of the Tornado X, 3 figures stood casually against the supersonic wind, held in place by magnetic boots. Sonic adjusted his gloves. "Nice flying, buddy. but get us closer. I want to knock on the door. Approaching the flagship, Tails called out. The Egg Dragoon is heavily guarded. You have to drop now. The tornado inverted. It flew upside down over the massive, spinal deck of the Central Command ship. Drop! Sonic, Shadow, and Knuckles released their maglocks. They fell. The descent. The deck of the egg carrier was crawling with egg robos and heavy turrets. They looked up, sensors tracking the 3 falling projectiles. Targeting, a robot droned. Knuckles hit first. He didn't land on his feet. He landed on his fists. Boom! The impact created a crater 40 feet wide. The shockwave flipped tanks like toys. Turrets were bent in half. Knuckles stood up from the smoke, dusting off his dreadlocks. Is that all? He grunted, punching a robot so hard its head flew into the engine intake of a passing fighter. Shadow landed second. He didn't make a sound. He teleported inches above the deck. Chaos! Spear! A barrage of yellow energy bolts rained down, sniping the snipers on the command tower. Shadow skated through the carnage, his hover shoes burning lines of fire into the steel deck. He moved with lethal efficiency, shoot, kick, teleport, repeat. Sonic landed last. He spin dashed before he hit the ground. He became a blue buzzsaw, cutting a path through the legion of badniks. He uncurled next to Knuckles and Shadow. The 3 hedgehogs and Echidna stood back to back as the army of robots encircled them. So, Sonic grinned, stretching his legs. Left, right, or center? I'll take the big gun, Knuckles pointed to the main cannon. I'll handle the elite units, Shadow said, eyeing a squad of shadow androids deploying from the lift. Guess that leaves the fat man for me, Sonic winked. The command deck. Dr. Eggman watched the monitors. His fleet was burning. The human insects were stinging him, guided by that infernal fox, and his deck was being dismantled by the trio. Deploying countermeasures, Eggman growled. He wasn't worried. He had the trump card. He keyed the mic to the Golden Guardian hovering outside. Metal. They are on the deck. Show them the power of the Empire. The arrival. The sky turned gold. The human jets stopped firing. The tornado banked hard to avoid the pressure wave. Super Metal Sonic descended onto the deck of the egg carrier. He landed in front of Sonic, Shadow, and Knuckles. He didn't create a crater. He simply landed, and the entire ship dipped in the air from his mass presence. The 7 Chaos Emeralds floated around him. His aura was blinding. Sonic stepped forward. Hey, copycat, nice jewelry. Metal Sonic stared at them. His optics flashed white. Analysis. 3 targets, Metal spoke. Outcome, inevitable. Shadow stepped up beside Sonic. He pulled the time stone from his quills. It glowed green, fighting against the golden light of the emeralds. We'll see about that, Shadow muttered. Chaos control versus Chronos control. Let's dance. Above them, a flight of F-22s tried to strafe Metal Sonic. Metal didn't even look up. He raised a hand. A pulse of gravity crushed the jets into cubes of scrap metal instantly. The debris rained down around the arena. The battlefield was set. Team Sonic versus God, Metal Sonic. The Resistance versus the Empire. Sonic cracked his neck. Tails, keep the heat off us. Knuck, Shadow, let's go super on a budget. Sonic revved his feet. Shadow lit his aura. Knuckles smashed his fists together, creating sparks. Charge! The deck of the egg carrier. Altitude, 35,000 feet. Physics had left the chat. Sonic hit the deck plating hard enough to dent titanium. He skidded backward, his sneakers carving sparks until he hit a turret housing. He groaned, shaking his head. Okay, Sonic spat, wiping blood from his lip. He's durable. I'll give him that. Above them, Super Metal Sonic hovered. He was a sun in the shape of a nightmare. He didn't even have to block. Shadow's chaos. Spears absorbed into his aura like water into a sponge. Knuckles' punches, blows that could shatter mountains, just rang off his golden chassis like a tuning fork. Damage, 0, Metal Sonic projected. Effort, wasted. Metal raised a hand. A ball of concentrated plasma, the size of a house, began to form. We can't hit him, Shadow shouted, teleporting next to Sonic. His chest was heaving. Even the ultimate life form was running on fumes. His energy output is infinite. It's a closed loop. Knuckles stood up from the crater he had been thrown into. He stared at the golden robot, but he wasn't looking at the metal. He was looking at the lights orbiting him. The 7 Chaos Emeralds. They were screaming. To anyone else, it was just energy hum. To Knuckles, the guardian of the Master Emerald, it was a discordant shriek of agony. The gems were being forced to output power against their will, enslaved by a cold, binary logic that lacked the one thing required to balance them. Heart. He's forcing them, Knuckles growled. The red aura around his dreadlocks flared. They don't want to be with him. They're fighting the connection. So what? Sonic yelled, dodging a stray lightning bolt. We asked them nicely to leave? No! Knuckles planted his feet. He slammed his fists together. I order them. Knuckles looked at Sonic and Shadow. I need time. I need to recite the prayer. I can neutralize the energy from the Master Emerald's frequency, even without the rock here. I am the Avatar. How much time? Shadow demanded. 30 seconds, Knuckles said. Uninterrupted. Sonic looked at the giant ball of plasma metal was about to throw. He looked at Shadow. 30 seconds against a god? Sonic grinned, cracking his knuckles. Piece of cake. The defense! Metal! Sonic screamed, revving a spin dash. Over here! You missed a spot! Sonic launched. He didn't aim for metal. He aimed for the sensors. He was a gnat buzzing in the face of a hurricane. Metal Sonic swiveled. Target, annoyance. He fired the plasma. Chaos control! Shadow screamed. He didn't freeze time. He couldn't hold a super form in place. Instead, he dilated the air between the blast and the deck. The time stone in his hand glowed a fierce, temporal green. The plasma ball slowed down. It moved like it was traveling through molasses. Go, Knuckles! Shadow roared, straining against the temporal feedback. Knuckles closed his eyes. He ignored the wind. He ignored the screams of the dying fighter jets above. He found the center. The servers are the 7 Chaos. Knuckles' deep voice rumbled, vibrating the deck plates. Metal Sonic's head snapped toward the echidna. Priority update, interrupt chant, Metal droned. He abandoned the plasma. He moved to teleport. Oh, no you don't, Sonic intercepted. Sonic didn't attack. He body blocked. He caught Metal Sonic's fist with his face. Crack! Sonic flew backward, vision blurring, but he scrambled up instantly. Is that all you got? My grandmother hits harder. Metal Sonic twitched. The emeralds were flickering. Chaos is power! Knuckles continued, his voice rising. The red aura around him expanded, forming a spectral image of the Master Emerald behind him. Metal Sonic shrieked, a digital glitch. He fired a laser barrage. Shadow appeared in front of Knuckles. He spun, creating a shield of time-warp debris. The lasers hit the debris and aged instantly, dissipating into harmless light. Hold the line! Shadow gritted his teeth, blood running from his nose. He's almost there! Metal Sonic roared. He gathered all 7 emeralds into his chest. Maximum output. He was going to vaporize the ship. He was going to vaporize the ocean. Power is enriched by the heart. Knuckles screamed the final line. He opened his eyes. They were glowing pure white. The controller serves to unify the chaos. The break. Knuckles punched the air. A shockwave of red negation energy erupted from his fist. It wasn't kinetic. It was spiritual. It passed through Shadow. It passed through Sonic. It hit Metal Sonic dead center. Shatter. The sound was like a stained glass window breaking in a cathedral. The golden aura around Metal Sonic shattered. The 7 Chaos Emeralds stopped spinning. They turned gray, inert. The connection was severed. System error. Metal Sonic stuttered. His voice dropped an octave. The gold paint didn't peel, but the light died. He fell out of the sky. Clang. Metal Sonic hit the deck. He was back to blue. He was back to base form. The 7 gray emeralds clattered to the floor around him. Useless rocks. The counterattack. Silence returned to the deck, save for the roar of the wind. Sonic stood up, holding his bruised jaw. Shadow collapsed to one knee, panting, putting the time stone away. Knuckles stood tall, smoke rising from his fists. "You're cut off," Knuckles stated. Metal Sonic tried to stand. His servos whined. He looked at his hands. He looked at the gray emeralds. "Impossible," Metal glitched. "Data. Corrupted." Sonic revved his feet. The blue sparks returned. "You know what happens now, right?" Sonic said, walking forward. Shadow stood up, his eyes narrowing. Knuckles cracked his knuckles again. "Now," Sonic grinned. "It's a fair fight." "Beat his ass," a voice shouted from the Tornado X circling above. The deck of the egg carrier. Error, recalculating. Impact. Metal Sonic didn't finish the sentence. Sonic was already there. The blue blur didn't use a spin dash. He used a slide kick, sweeping Metal's legs out from under him. As the robot fell, Sonic planted a hand on the deck and handspring kicked Metal under the chin, launching him 10 feet into the air. "Recalculate this!" Sonic shouted. Sonic vanished. He reappeared in the air, curled into a ball. He hit Metal from the left. Clang! He hit him from the right. Clang! He hit him from below. Clang! It was a game of racquetball, and Metal Sonic was the ball. Sonic was moving so fast he created a vacuum sphere, trapping the robot in a cycle of concussive force. "My turn," Shadow said calmly. Shadow teleported into the center of Sonic's combo. He grabbed Metal Sonic by the throat in midair. "Chaos!" Shadow whispered, his eyes glowing with sadistic intent. He didn't fire a spear. He ignited the thrusters in his shoes. He dragged Metal Sonic through the air, grinding the robot's face against the invisible friction of the atmosphere, then slammed him downward. Snap! Shadow Roundhouse kicked Metal in the chest turbine. The force dented the intake valve, stripping the screws. Metal Sonic plummeted toward the deck. "Batter up!" Knuckles roared. The echidna was waiting. He didn't catch the robot. He wound up a punch that started from his toes and ended in the next zip code. Crunch! Knuckles hit Metal Sonic so hard in the spine that the robot folded. The chassis buckled. The sleek aerodynamic design was instantly converted into a crumpled piece of modern art. Metal Sonic flew across the deck, skipping off a turret, tearing through a crate of ammo, and slamming into the wall of the command tower. He fell face first onto the steel grating. Sparks showered from his joints. Oil leaked from his neck. His optical sensor flickered, trying to find a target, but his gyroscope was shattered. Fail! Metal glitched, trying to push himself up on one arm. The other arm was hanging by a wire. He looked up. 3 shadows loomed over him. Sonic dusted off his hands. Shadow crossed his arms, looking down with pure disdain. Knuckles cracked his knuckles, the sound echoing like a gunshot. "You know," Sonic said, looking at the broken machine, "you called us obsolete." "You called us inferior," Shadow added, stepping on Metal's good hand. Metal tried to pull away, but Shadow applied pressure, crushing the servos. "You broke my Master Emerald," Knuckles growled. There was no honor in what happened next. It wasn't a hero's finisher. It was a mugging. The beatdown. They didn't use powers. They didn't use chaos control. They used their feet. Sonic stomped on the head. Stomp. That's stomp. 4. Stomp. The stomp. Nuke! Knuckles kicked the torso repeatedly, treating the high-tech alloy like a crushed soda can. Every kick left a massive fist-shaped dent in the armor. Clang, clang, clang! Shadow joined in, driving his heel into the jet turbine on Metal's chest, grinding it until the glass shattered and the fan blades snapped. It was rhythmic. It was brutal. It was the ventilation of 3 beings who had been pushed to the brink of extinction and were now taking it out on the source of their stress. Metal Sonic couldn't defend. He couldn't calculate. He just vibrated on the floor under the assault, parts flying off him, a screw here, a wing flap there, an ear fin spinning away across the deck. "Stay!" Sonic kicked. "Down!" Knuckles stomped. "Trash!" Shadow finished. They stopped. Metal Sonic lay in a crater of his own parts. He was flattened. He looked less like a hedgehog and more like a blue pancake with wires sticking out. His red eye flickered once, dimmed, and went dark. Sonic exhaled, fixing his quills. He looked at the others. "Feel better?" Sonic asked. "Immensely," Shadow replied, adjusting his gloves. "My foot hurts," Knuckles admitted. He's really hard. The command deck. Inside the control room, Dr. Eggman stared at the monitor. His mouth was open. His glasses were crooked. He had watched his greatest creation, a machine capable of warping reality, get jumped in a parking lot brawl. Eggman stammered, they just kicked him, repeatedly. He looked at the tactical display. The fleet was burning. The shield was down. His champion was scrap metal. Eggman slammed his fist on the console. Fine. If you want to break my toys, I'll break the whole playground. He grabbed the throttle of the Egg Dragoon. You want a boss fight? I'll give you a boss fight. The massive mech detached from the flagship. The command tower shook as the Dragoon ascended, its shadow swallowing the 3 hedgehogs on the deck. Sonic looked up. Round 3? Sonic grinned. Let's wrap this up, Shadow said, flaring his aura. I have a date with a chili dog. The sky over the Atlantic. Altitude decreasing rapidly. The structural integrity of the egg carrier reached 0%. With a sound like the earth splitting open, the massive flagship snapped in half. The rear engines exploded, sending the front half, the command deck, plummeting toward the ocean. Gravity released its hold. Sonic, Shadow, Knuckles, and the wreckage of Metal Sonic lifted off the deck, suspended in the weightlessness of the fall. Hold on to something, Tails screamed over the comms, the Tornado X diving to keep pace with the falling city of steel. The boss fight. Dr. Eggman did not panic. In the chaos of freefall, he found his focus. The Egg Dragoon detached from the crumbling command tower. Its thrusters flared, stabilizing it in the descent. It was a dragon made of iron and hate, falling through the clouds alongside the heroes. You think this is over? Eggman roared, his voice amplified against the wind shear. I have the high ground. I have the gravity. I have the guns. The Dragoon's central chest cannon opened. It didn't fire beams. It fired a spread of gravity bombs. Small black holes detonated in midair. Whoa! Sonic shouted, kicked sideways by a gravity well. He spun, grabbing a piece of floating railing to launch himself back toward the mech. Chaos Spear! Shadow fired a barrage of yellow bolts, but the Dragoon's drill arm swatted them away like flies. Knuckles dove, gliding through the debris field. He aimed for the cockpit, but Eggman anticipated it. The Dragoon's tail whipped around, catching the Echidna and slamming him into a falling piece of the hull. I am a genius, Eggman laughed maniacally, firing a salvo of missiles that tracked Sonic through the cloud layer. I built an empire from nothing. I will not be defeated by a hedgehog and his petting zoo. The Dragoon was winning. In the chaotic freefall, the heroes couldn't find footing. Eggman used the environment perfectly, blasting debris to create shrapnel, using the G-force to pin them down. The turn. Sonic was tumbling. The ocean was rushing up, a blue wall of death. He looked around. Floating near him, tumbling end over end, were the 7 gray, inert Chaos Emeralds. Knuckles turned them off, Sonic gritted his teeth, dodging a laser blast. But they never stay quiet for long. Not for me. Sonic reached out. He didn't grab them with greed. He didn't grab them with logic. He reached out with the desperate need to protect his friends. Come on, guys, Sonic whispered to the stones. Wake up. One last time. The wind roared. The Dragoon charged its main cannon for a killing shot. Die, rodent! Eggman shouted, his finger hovering over the trigger. Thrum! The gray stones turned white, then blue, red, yellow, green, cyan, purple, white. The color returned, the connection reestablished, not forced by a machine, but welcomed by a hero. The transformation. A golden shockwave blew away the clouds. Eggman shielded his eyes. What? The debris stopped falling, or rather, it seemed to stop, as a golden figure shot upward, defying physics, defying gravity, defying the Doctor. Supersonic. He hovered in the center of the freefall, his quills turned upward in a crown of golden flame. His eyes were ruby red. His aura was calm, radiating a power that made the Egg Dragoon's reactor look like a AA battery. Class is in session, Eggman, Supersonic said. His voice echoed with a dual harmonic. The realization. Eggman froze. His finger trembled over the fire button. He looked at Supersonic, Then he looked down. Falling past the cockpit window was the crushed, mangled body of Metal Sonic. The robot was missing an arm. Its head was caved in. It was a piece of trash. Eggman's mind replayed the footage of the last 5 minutes. The kicks, the stomps, the absolute disrespect. He looked back at Super Sonic. Sonic cracked his knuckles. Then he looked at Shadow, who was powering up a chaos blast. Then he looked at Knuckles, who was punching his palms together with a look of murder in his eyes. Eggman did the math. Outcome, pain. Lots of pain. Eggman stammered. The bravado evaporated. I think I left the oven on. The exit. Eject! 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 Eggman screamed, slamming his fist onto the emergency release. The cockpit of the Egg Dragoon exploded outward. The Egg Mobile shot out from the mech's chassis, igniting an emergency dimensional drive. You win this round, but the Eggman Empire is eternal. I'm taking my talents elsewhere. ZORP, Eggman didn't fight. He didn't monologue. He fled. The Egg Mobile vanished into a wormhole, leaving a lingering scent of burnt engine oil and cowardice. The crash. The Egg Dragoon, now pilotless, fell lifelessly. He ran, Knuckles grunted, gliding over to Shadow. Smart man, Shadow admitted. Guys, the water! Tails screamed from the radio. They were seconds from impact. The massive flagship debris was about to hit the ocean with the force of a meteor. Super Sonic looked down. Hold on! He flew down. He didn't stop the ship. That would shatter it. He created a chaos field. A golden bubble expanded around the heroes, the Tornado X, and the surviving debris. Splash! The impact was massive. A geyser of water rose a mile into the air. But inside the golden bubble, the landing was soft. The aftermath. The sun began to set over the Atlantic. The ocean was littered with smoking wreckage. On the wing of the floating Tornado X, Sonic powered down. The gold faded to blue. The 7 emeralds scattered, shooting off into the sky in 7 different directions to recharge, vanishing into the distance. Sonic sat down exhausted. Well, Sonic panted, that was a workout. Queens, the roof. Billy Butcher watched the horizon. He saw the golden flash. He saw the Egg Fleet ships in the sky power down, their control signals severed with Eggman's departure. The invasion was over. Butcher looked at his rotting green arm. He looked at the empty spot where Homelander used to be. He took a long drag of a cigarette he had bummed from Frenchie. Diabolical, Butcher whispered. He stood up and kicked the lawn chair over. Right then, who wants to go get a pint? I hear the world didn't end. Huey smiled, a weak, shaky thing. I could use a drink. Flatiron roof, sunset. The Tornado X hovered silently over the roof, its VTOL thrusters humming a soft, harmonic tune that put the NYPD helicopters to shame. Miles Tails. Prower hopped out of the cockpit. He held a device that looked like a cross between a Geiger counter and a defibrillator. He walked past the awestruck Huey and the silent Kimiko, heading straight for the man in the lawn chair. Billy Butcher didn't get up. He just watched the fox approach. His right arm was a ruin, blackened skin, veins pulsing with a toxic, dying green light. The chaos radiation was eating him alive. You look terrible, Mr. Butcher, Tails said, his tail swishing behind him. It wasn't an insult, it was a clinical observation. Cheers, Foxy, Butcher grunted, taking a sip of whiskey. I reckon I've got about an hour before my heart turns into a glow stick. You come to watch the show? I came to balance the equation, Tails said. He knelt down. You helped Sonic. You gave up the emerald to save the city. That makes us even. Tails opened his toolkit. He worked with a speed that made Frenchie's head spin. In 10 seconds, he had dismantled a drone part, rewired a Vought battery, and combined it with a shard of ring energy tech. He clamped a metallic white and yellow cuff over Butcher's rotting forearm. Click. Whir. A cooling sensation flooded Butcher's arm. The green pulsating light turned a stable, dull blue. The pain, the burning fire that had been cooking his marrow, vanished. I can't reverse the tissue necrosis, Tails explained, tapping the cuff. But this is a chaos siphon. It'll loop the excess energy back into the device. You won't die. Well, not from this. Butcher looked at the cuff. He flexed his black, charred fingers. They worked. Right, Butcher muttered. He looked at the kid. You're a handy little wanker, aren't you? Tails smiled. He reached into his satchel and pulled out a USB drive. He tossed it to Huey. That's the encryption key to the Eggnet, Tails said. Before Eggman fled, I downloaded his database. It has every dirty secret Vought ever stored digitally. Every payoff, every cover-up, every compound formula. Huey caught it like it was made of gold. This destroys them. Completely. Use it well, Tails said. He hopped back onto the wing of the tornado. Sonic was waiting in the cockpit, giving them a thumbs up. See you around, Butcher, Sonic called out. Try smiling once in a while. It confuses the enemy. Piss off, Hedgehog, Butcher smirked. The Tornado X engaged its thrusters. In a flash of blue light, they shot upward, punching a hole through the clouds, heading back to their own dimension. Butcher watched them go. He took a long drag of his cigarette. Epilogue. The Butcher Files. Audio log. William J. Butcher. Dated 2 weeks post-event. So, that's how the world ended, and how it started again. You ask me what happened? I'll tell you what happened. We spent 50 years scared of men in capes. We thought Homelander was the devil. We thought Vought was the immovable object. Then a blue rat and a two-tailed fox showed up and turned the whole bloody chessboard upside down. Homelander? He didn't get a statue. He didn't get a state funeral. He got turned into red paste in a subway tunnel by a robot that didn't even know his name. The most powerful cunt on Earth, erased by a system error. Poetic, really. Vought tried to spin it, of course. Ashley and the Supes tried to say it was a gas leak. Terrorists. But Huey, the kid had the drive the Fox gave us. We leaked it all. Every email, every video. Vought stock is trading lower than toilet paper. Stan Edgar is still missing. Probably turned into a coffee maker somewhere in the Bermuda Triangle. As for the Supes, they're quiet. They saw what happened. They saw a golden robot block a nuke. They saw a hedgehog run across the ocean. They realized they ain't gods. They're just appetizers. Me? I'm still here. Still drinking. Still ugly. I got this metal cuff on my arm now. Keeps the green poison from stopping my heart. Frenchie says it's advanced technology. I say it's a reminder. A reminder that the universe is big. Bigger than us. Bigger than Vought. And somewhere out there, there's a blue blur running faster than sound, laughing at physics. It's diabolical, mate. Truly diabolical. Butcher out.